All right, here we go. So we are coming near the end of this packet. This is the last section in chapter 4 that we're going to be looking at. And then you're going to take a quiz before we start chapter 5. So let's go ahead and start with this. Our objective is to solve for x in 2 steps. Normally we just did the opposite. It was 1 step. We either added or subtracted to solve for x, or we multiplied or divided, and it was just 1 step and we got our x. Now there's going to be 2 steps. So first let's translate this equation right here. 3x plus 4 equals 10. So our unknown number x, what we don't know, what we're trying to find, is just that unknown number x times that 3. And I know it's times 3 because if there's nothing there, it's a times, all right? So 3x is the same as 3 times x, or x times 3. So our unknown number times 3, all right, plus 4 is 10, okay? So the is the equal sign. We've been talking about that with the last section, all right? 3 times x plus 4 is 10. So what we want to do is solve this unknown number x. We want x all by itself, and we're going to work backwards from the order of operation. So we're going to add or subtract first, and in this case, what's the opposite of plus 4? Leave me alone. So x is, leave me alone, plus 4. Leave me alone, times 3. So there's 2 things bugging that x. So that's why there's 2 steps. So we got to get rid of this plus 4, and then later on in the second step, we got to get rid of that times 3. All right? So the first step, I'm going to get rid of that plus 4. Think opposite. We're going to subtract 4 first. And from both sides, all right? From both sides. And then we are going to divide by 3. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So let's go ahead and set that up. 3x plus 4 equals 10. First step, subtract 4. Whatever you do to one side, got to do to the other. So 4 minus 4, 0. 10 minus 4 is 6. So I get 3x plus that 0, which we don't have to write, is 6. All right, so the only thing really bugging the x now is that times 3. Leave me alone, times 3, right? So the opposite of times is divide. So in our second step, we're going to divide. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So these 3's are going to cancel out, leaving us with a 1x equals 6 divided by 3 is 2. So after our 2 steps, we're left with x all by itself. X is 2. So we can check this. If x is 2, all right, plug that back in. Substitute it back in. We're going to substitute it back in. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. That works out great. Check. Bada bing, bada boom. All right? Let's look at another one where we have to deal with solving for x in 2 steps. All right, so example 2. Translate the equation. Our unknown is, that fraction bar means divide. So our unknown x is divided by 2. All right, it's divided by 2. And then minus 3. And is equals is 9. Right? Our unknown numbers divided by 2 minus 3 is 9. That's what that says. So we got to think opposite. So in this case, opposite of minus 3, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add 3. We're going to add 3 to each side first. And then in our second step, the opposite of divide by 2 is going to be multiply. We're going to go ahead and we're going to multiply by 2. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. X over 2 minus 3 is 9. All right? So First step, add 3. Whatever you do to one side, got to do to the other. All right? So those 3's are gone. X over 2. And that 0 now is 9 plus 3, 12. Okay? Cool. So now, x, leave me alone, divided by 2. Now we're going to do the opposite. What's the opposite of divide by 2? Well, we're going to times the top by 2. We're going to times the top by 2. Whatever you do to one side, got to do to the other, right? So the 2's cancel out to 1. X is 12 times 2. $12 plus $12, $24. So let's check that. If x is 24, we'll substitute that 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. That works out great. All right? So for any two-step equations, generally, we're going to do the order of operations backwards. Instead of multiplying or dividing first, when we're solving for x, we need to either do the opposite by adding or subtracting first. All right? So we're going to add or subtract from both sides. Remember, whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So we're going to do this from both sides. That's how we get our 0. That's how we cancel out to get x by itself. And then we're going to multiply. All right? And then we're going to multiply or divide. Do whatever's opposite from both sides to cancel out what's bugging the x, so we can get x all by itself. And then you're going to want to check your solution. Okay? It seems doable, right? But what you got to remember is x. What's bugging the x? And think opposite. So the minus 3 is bugging the x on this side of the equal sign, and the divide by 2 is. So our rules say generally you want to add or subtract from both sides first, then multiply or divide. Okay? Let's go ahead and flip over our paper and look at it. All right. So right here, this is some of the classroom practice on the back. What I want you to do to set up your problems, draw a line down the middle of your equal signs. So draw a line. It should go down all of them, okay? Draw a line, draw a line, draw a line. Okay? So and then we got to think, what's bugging the x? And in this case, the plus n on this side, or plus 8, and the times 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract, then divide. Okay? So right underneath, and I want you to write this, right underneath, I want you to write a minus 8. Because that's how we're going to cancel out those 8s. We're going to do the opposite. So you add or subtract first. Whatever you do to one side, do the other. Then you need to rewrite. Okay? So 6n equals, because those 8s cancel out, 50 minus 8, 42. All right? So there's my rewrite. Then, so that was step 1. Step 1. Then we did our rewrite, and then here's our step 2. Leave me alone times 6. So this is where we add, multiply or divide. What's the opposite of times 6? Yeah, divide by 6. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So the 6's cancel out. We're left with n equals 42 divided by 6. Yep, 7. All right, and then we can check it. 6 times 7 plus 8 equals 50. That's true. 42 plus 8 is 50. It checks out. All right? So that's what I want you to do for all your problems here. Practice that. This is where you can have some one-on-one with me, Mr. Cosiera. All right? And then if you're still having trouble, we'll help you out some more. There's a lot of practice in your little homework packet where you can practice this. All right? The next part 2 of this is what happens if there's a x on both sides. And that's the next video, okay? So good luck with this practice, and then once you're ready, you can watch the notes for the part 2. All right, thank you.